Hi, I'm Stetson with Dronegenuity. In this video, I'm going over the top 5 best and easiest cinematic drone shots and how to execute them. First and foremost, always be aware of your surroundings while flying. Make sure you have a good understanding of the area and be aware of any trees or other obstacles which you may need to avoid. Anyway, the first cinematic shot is the classic pull-away shot. This is where the drone starts about level with the subject and then simply pulls back and up. This shot is incredibly easy to capture, and I think it always looks great. So what you're going to want to do is hover your drone in front of your subject, and then simultaneously push the left stick upwards to increase your altitude, and pull the right stick backwards to move your drone backwards. And if you do this in a gradual motion, you'll get a nice, smooth, cinematic shot. The second shot I want to talk about is the point of interest shot. Utilizing this intelligent flight mode is super simple and an easy way to get great looking drone footage. So first, fly above your subject at your desired altitude, activate the point of interest intelligent flight mode, and then set your radius by flying outwards. Make sure you tilt your camera at about a 45-degree angle to make sure your subject is in frame. This angle will vary depending on what your altitude is, but again, just remember to reframe to keep your subject in the center of the image. Besides keeping your subject in frame, the key to getting a nice point of interest shot is making sure you're orbiting your subject at a reasonable speed. Now, a speed which will look good for you is very dependent on your situation. However, I strongly suggest going with a speed that will make the orbit take 30 seconds or longer. I personally like slower footage, so I typically select a speed anywhere from 2.2 to 8 miles per hour. In this case, I'm going a little slower in the 2 to 3 mile per hour range. Keep in mind you can also use the point of interest mode even if there isn't a specific point of interest. Sometimes setting a larger radius and just flying in a slow circular motion looks really nice. This third shot is the flying up while tilting down shot. It takes some practice to execute properly, but when done right it looks really cool. To easily pull this off, you first want to go into the DJI Go app and change the tilt speed of the gimbal. This will allow you to get a nice smooth tilt without worrying about pulling on the gimbal dial too suddenly or too rapidly. With a nice slow setting of around 10 or so, you can fly up and pull full throttle on the gimbal dial and still get a nice smooth camera tilt. To execute the flying up while tilting down shot, first align your drone directly in front of your subject, then slowly begin to fly your drone upwards. As your drone is nearing the top of the subject, pull on the gimbal tilt dial to keep your subject in frame and get a really cool looking shot. The fourth shot is a very similar shot with very similar ideas. It is the flyover tilt down shot. Now the secret to pulling this shot off is actually to film it in reverse. So what you're going to want to do is hover your drone directly overhead of your subject or even a little ways past it with the camera facing vertically downwards. Then fly backwards and gradually tilt your camera up, trying to keep your subject in frame before gradually tilting into the skyline. Again, keeping that gimbal tilt at a lower setting of around 10 or so will help you get a nice smooth tilt and keep everything looking beautiful and cinematic. The fifth shot is the low to ground tilt up shot. I think this shot looks awesome, and its effectiveness will vary depending on your subject. What you're going to want to do for this shot is hover your drone as low as you feel comfortable to the ground. I think I was about 3 feet above the ground when I was doing this shot, and it did take me a few attempts and a little bit of practice to get it right, but I do think the final effect looked pretty great. Anyway, you start low, you gradually start moving forwards, and as you're moving towards your subject, you're gradually tilting your camera up. This allows for a really cool flying sensation and then reveals the subject in what I consider to be a really epic and cinematic way. So there you have it. Those are 5 super easy and cinematic shots you can add to your flight arsenal. Many of them will take practice to perfect, but they are easy to learn, and I definitely recommend giving them a try. So that wraps up this video. Feel free to give it a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and consider subscribing for more videos like this one. I'm Stetson with Dronegenuity. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.